As a mom, I know it can be really hard to find time to work out, especially if you have more than one kid. So just bear with me as I show you my week of workouts, because I was only able to do 3 days this week, which is what I would typically do. But my workouts were a lot shorter, just given a couple things that came up. No matter what, I try to keep in mind that exercise is meant to support me in my life and not take over my life. So it really doesn't bother me when I'm only able to get 2 or 3 workouts in a week. And if they're short, I think as long as you're moving your body fairly frequently and prioritizing strength training 2 to 4 days a week, that is a great place to start. So the first day of the week, I did an anterior focus workout, which just focuses more on the front side of your body, hence the quads, the shoulders, the chest, biceps, and abs. This day was definitely more quad and shoulder heavy, so I started off with just traditional squats, making sure that I'm going really deep and keeping the movement nice and controlled. I used to squat upwards of 175 pounds for reps, and while my form was okay, I just was not hitting depth, so I'm really working on that. The second exercise, I did a shoulder press, and I just have the bench one notch away from being completely upright. For me, I find that with my body mechanics and the way my body is, it just feels way better for me to have it slightly away from being upright, and I'm able to feel it more in my shoulders, but you'll just have to play around with what feels best to you and where you can get the best connection with your shoulder for this exercise. You'll also notice that in pretty much every workout that I do, I always put my compound lifts first, because I find for me they require the most energy, and I want to be able to really put my best foot forward on those lifts. Movements like a back squat, shoulder press, front squat, goblet squat, they're all going to recruit more than one part of your body too, and just translate into other areas of everyday life tasks, like picking things up, lifting a suitcase above the overhead compartment, and so many other things that you might be doing on a daily basis. Moving into a superset, which I paired Bulgarian split squats and lateral raises, which I don't know why I paired these together. I was so toast by the end of the superset, but I started with 8 to 10 reps of split squats on both sides of the legs, and then I moved straight into lateral raises with very little rest. You'll also notice that my torso is slightly leaned forward. This is just going to hit a little bit more of your glutes as well as your quads versus being completely upright. You'll hit your quads more. Here we have another superset of death that I will put on the side of the screen so you can see all the reps and sets. But essentially I'm starting with 2 sets of lighter weight, higher reps. So going to like 12 to 15 reps. And then I supersetted that with around the worlds. Here I'm doing super lightweight, higher reps, which is what I prefer to do towards the end of my workout, just to get a little bit of a pump. And I also don't want to tear my rotator cuff doing this exercise, which is really easy to do if you're trying to load up the weight. You're going to end up swinging a lot. I was just focusing on keeping it slow and controlled and minimizing any sort of strain on those rotator cuffs. All right, here I am bracing myself to do 2 more sets of this quad extension, but I am doing drop sets. So essentially I'm going to go heavier on my 8 to 10 reps, and then I'm going to drop the weight and do that until I can't do any more reps. My last exercise was bicep 21s, where you do 7 bottom half reps, then 7 top half reps, then 7 full reps. This was my last set. I only did 2 sets of these, and my second set I did lower the weight because I noticed on those last few reps I was swinging quite a bit, so I was really just trying to keep it very controlled as I'm doing those last reps with the full range of motion. All right, moving into day 2, this was posterior chain. I only train posterior chain once a week because I am glute and back dominant, so I find it's really easy for me to grow those muscles, so I'm not necessarily trying to make them any bigger right now, just maintaining strength and overall functionality. I put a long length video on the right, that way you can see the full range of motion. I did put a plate under to give me slight elevation and target more of the glutes. After I supersetted the RDLs with the pull-ups, I went into single arm dumbbell rows. I forgot my wrist straps at home, so I wasn't able to go as heavy as I normally would just because my grip often gives out before my actual strain. And the last thing I did was a superset with single arm rear delt cable flies and single leg lunge into a hip abduction. This move is a little bit advanced, so I would recommend if you're starting out to either just choose a traditional lunge or do a hip abduction machine to superset with the rear delt flies. This was the last day of my week of workouts, and I did another anterior chain focused workout starting out with tricep dips. I did these unassisted, but you could easily just move the pad up and do them with assistance or with the band. The next exercise was a superset with 3 sets of goblet squats. I added a plate underneath my feet to give me a slight elevation and hit a little bit more of my quads, and then I supersetted that with incline bench press. Moving into a reverse hack squat, I will rotate out the reverse hack squat with a traditional hack squat every other week. I like both of them, and I really think that there's benefits to both. This one targets slightly more of the glutes while also putting emphasis on the quads, versus a traditional will put a lot more emphasis on your quads and allow you to go a little bit deeper. Here we have a step up. You can do this exercise with a box, a bench, really whatever you have available to you that's going to be stable to stand on. You want to make sure that you have good height with whatever you're standing on, because then you'll get more stretch in your glute. You also want to make sure that the leg that is on the box that you're stepping up or forwards with is initiating the majority of the movement. Next, we have another superset with hammer curls and calf raises, keeping the hammer curls nice and slow and controlled, really trying not to swing and initiating the movement with my biceps, not my back or any sort of momentum from my legs. For the final superset of exercises, I did a hip adduction machine with lateral raises. I wanted to film lateral raises again because I didn't film it the first day of the week, and I really wanted to make sure you guys could see the form on this and to see how I'm leading with my pinkies, trying not to swing and use my shoulders to lift the weight and not the momentum.